For Christmas this past year, our diocesan bishop, Bishop Lennon, gave all of the priests of our diocese a book. And it's entitled Born of the Eucharist, A Spirituality for Priests, edited by Monsignor Stephen Rossetti and published by Ave Maria Press. And 6 months later, I'm reading it. And I find it to be very much in tune with today's feast, the feast of the most holy body and blood of the Lord, the feast of Corpus Christi, the feast of the Eucharist. And this book contains 21 reflections from priests and bishops on the relationship of the priesthood of Jesus Christ and the gift of Jesus, of himself in the Eucharist. And I thought today I would deliver more of a retreat conference than a homily. And I would allow 3 of the reflections in this book to speak directly to you. Now, don't get nervous. They're not very long. But I hope that there's something in each one of these that will touch your heart and will deepen your appreciation for and gratitude for the gift of Christ to us in the Eucharist. The first one is from Bishop Victor Gallione, who is the bishop of the Diocese of St. Augustine, Florida. And he entitles this one a journal entry. And this is what Bishop Gallione writes. The following is an entry from my journal in 1996, while I was the pastor of St. Agnes Church in Baltimore. Yesterday, after an emergency call at the nursing home, I was about to exit when I noticed a man in the hallway. He was sitting next to a woman in a wheelchair, tenderly holding her hands. Not a word was spoken. He just sat there, looking intently into her eyes. I walked over and engaged him in conversation. Your wife, I take it. That's right, of 47 years. Do you visit her often? Every single day. Haven't missed a day in 4 years, except for that blizzard last year. During the exchange, his wife kept staring blankly into space. She's not saying anything. That's right. Hasn't been able to for the last 18 months, ever since her stroke. And she has Alzheimer's disease too. Alzheimer's? Does she know who you are? Not really. But that doesn't matter. I know who she is. And the bishop goes on to say, what an indictment against me, Lord Jesus. How often during my quiet time in your presence, I've kept one eye on the tabernacle and the other eye on my watch. Don't I deserve the same reprimand that your chosen 3 disciples received in the Garden of Gethsemane? Could you not watch 1 hour with me? Where is the love that should be animating my heart, just as it did that of St. Edith Stein, when she remarked so lovingly, He is truly there, and He is there for me. This reflection reminds me of a phrase that Matthew Kelly gave us last November. Carefree timelessness. Remember? He talked about any relationship that is going to live and thrive demands that the 2 people offer each other carefree timelessness. That they devote time to each other without an agenda, without things to be accomplished, carefree, and timelessness, not looking at the person with one eye and at our watch with the other. Carefree timelessness. The way we respond to our relationship with Jesus Christ also demands on our part, offering Him our attention with carefree timelessness. That's what St. Edith Stein meant with her last remark. Jesus is truly here, and He is here for you and for me. The second reflection comes from Monsignor Wilfred Parent, who is a priest of the Archdiocese of Washington, D.C. This one intrigued me by its title, Holy Uselessness. I wondered what that was about. And this is what it's about. He writes, as a parish priest, I try to draw people to the Eucharist. And so I've worked hard for better worship at Mass, better music, better environments, better lay participation, better preaching, and so on. Yet sometimes I wonder if I have been too focused on making the Eucharist useful. Useful in the sense that the experience is sufficiently pleasant to keep the people in the pews. In a consumer culture like ours, working for better worship can easily become just another consumer enterprise where the Eucharist is measured by the Sunday ratings. At such times, I'm haunted by the purity of Christ's sacrifice. As Jesus bled out His life on the cross, we were utterly useless to Him. He revealed that to love someone means to release that person from the tyranny of usefulness, from the expectation that he or she exists to fulfill my worldly needs and my worldly desires. The moment that we demand that the Eucharist must fulfill another purpose, the moment we say that the Eucharist must be pleasant or must fulfill any worldly need, is the moment that we do not really love God, but are trying to use God. The measure of authentic worship seems to me to be the degree to which we are willing to be useless for God. And we are useless in a worldly sense when we feed the hungry who will never be able to repay us, when we care for the sick who may not get better, when we forgive enemies who may continue to hate us. I find the silence of Eucharistic adoration an especially fruitful source of such holy uselessness. And while I still work hard to make worship at Mass useful, I also work to avoid the tyranny of usefulness through useless acts of love, which is the essence of Christ's Eucharistic sacrifice. This Mass is not simply a dramatic representation of the Last Supper. It's more than that. Through the sacramental gift of Jesus' priesthood, we continue to do sacramentally right now